I'm back with the Juiced Scrambler. This is not a new bike by any means, but I have been working on something for this for a long time, and that is a new controller motor upgrade. This has taken way longer than it should have. We had probably 4 or 5 different revisions of the controller from different manufacturers. Thankfully, that did get better over the years. And then right in the middle of this is when all my big health problems started. So unfortunately, this controller upgrade just kind of got put on the back burner for a little bit, but it's done. We've actually started shipping them out to customers already. So I'm gonna show you what exactly it includes and kind of just explain what it does. So the stock motor controller is located underneath the seat right here, and the new motor controller is in exactly the same spot. It's tucked up right here. Basically, all of the wiring is more or less stock as far as how it runs. Right now, I'm still using the stock motor, but this controller does give you an avenue to easily upgrade the motor. I'll get to that in a moment. And then it comes with a brand new color display that's different from what was originally on the bike. Now, one of the original motivations to make a controller for this bike specifically was not necessarily that people wanted a lot more power, but it had this weird problem early on. I don't know if this is something that still happens on occasion or if it's been resolved with newer bikes, but odds are if you have one of the bikes from this era, your bike does this and you know what I'm talking about. You get up to top speed and there's this weird variance. My bike had it for sure, and basically it's like there's this inconsistency where it just jumps around on the speed for no rhyme or reason, and it just feels very weird and wrong. I've never had another bike do that, but the stock controllers on these are known to do that. There really was no good fix for it, so that was one of the reasons we started working on it, of course, and we figured, well, we might as well make it an upgrade while we're at it. So not only fix that existing problem, but try and make the bike a little bit better. So the new motor controller is rated for a max of 35 amps. So that's gonna give you more torque, not necessarily more top end speed, but it's certainly gonna give you more power on the hills. This is a sine wave controller. It's very quiet, very smooth, and should be very reliable, and it fixes that weird speed issue we talked about earlier. Now, if you've already seen the video I put out about the Rad Rover 6 upgrade, you'll recognize this display. We're in direct sunlight out here. In person, it's really easy to see this. Sometimes it's a little hard to pick up on camera, but it's got basic functions you'd expect. Voltage on the top right, a clock in the middle, or speed in the center here. It's got 5 pedal assist settings, and then you've got your, trip meter, odometer, max speed, average speed. Some of those are a little off. I need to reset that. If we press the middle button, there's this riding mode usage, so you can see like how much of each pedal assist setting you normally use, which I find interesting. The display itself is fairly basic, not a lot of customization options there. So this is more of an easy plug and play upgrade. You don't have to get into advanced programming settings. You don't have to ever connect this thing to a computer, enter codes, anything like that. The idea is you just plug it in and it just works. We want it to be simple, reliable, efficient. Now, normally these upgrade kits like this, that's just the 2 pieces they come with. You have the motor controller and the display, and that's all you need. But there were a couple other things we decided to add to this kit. One thing is the wiring harness. So this comes with a new wiring harness that runs from the controller all the way up to the handlebars and connects all of these together right here. I don't have an installation video, unfortunately, done on this, but it's really easy to do. The display, basically swap it out on the handlebars, both the buttons and the display itself. It plugs into the new wiring harness, which just runs down. There's a channel. I've misplaced this cover that goes right here. I'll find that and stick it back on sometime soon, I hope. But it runs down this channel and back to the motor controller. So you replace the motor controller, which is underneath the seat. You replace the screen, that one wiring harness, which is thankfully very easy to actually access and get to. And then the last thing is we changed the plug for the motor cable. And the reason we did that is this bike comes with a fairly small plug, which is this little guy right here. Now, normally I prefer to use this bigger plug, like what you see right up here, for 750 watt motors, for what this controller is capable of, 35 amps. So this is what I would have preferred to use throughout, but unfortunately the bike has a motor with this smaller plug on it. So what we decided to do is make the controller with the bigger plug and then include an adapter that goes down smaller. So this can plug into the stock motor. But what that means for you is that if you ever want to upgrade this motor, because it's a Bafang and other Bafang motors will drop into this case very easily, you can go buy a bigger motor, drop it into this wheel, and even though it's gonna have that bigger plug, it's gonna plug straight into this motor controller and be directly compatible. So this gives you not only a little more power from the controller that's installed right off the bat, but if you want to put a bigger motor later on, or your motor burns up and you need to replace it, then you know that you have another option that's going to be a little bit more powerful, a little more robust. And that bigger motor is not required to do this upgrade. I'm just running the stock motor right now. We just thought this would be a good way to make that easy to do. So the next thing to do, I would say, is just to take a quick little test ride on this and tell you what it feels like to ride with a new motor controller. But before I do that, I have to thank the sponsor of this video, Hohem, and they make pretty awesome gimbals for cameras. And that's what I've been using to film this entire video. I'm actually using my cell phone. So if you want super stable, smooth footage from your phone, well, you can do that with the Hohem gimbal. These things always just fascinate me. I mean, look at this. You can move it up, down, left, right. There's an app that goes on your phone so that all of these physical, tactile buttons operate your phone. So instead of trying to pinch to zoom in, I can use this little toggle right here to zoom in on the bike or to zoom back out. If I want to focus on something, I can just lightly press the record button in the middle. Hard press, that's the actual record setting. Now, if I want to pan the camera over to the left, I have this little kind of joystick right here, and I can pan it to the left or to the right. If I want to pan up or down, you just move that up or down. There's also this dial on the side, which can control different things. It can control the focus. If you press the button on the side, it can control this little guy on top. This is magnetic, which is super cool. So it can face either direction. And this has its own little camera on it and a light. So multi-functions here. If we were in the dark, which is super bright out today, so we're not, this little camera can shine a light on either your face or the subject of whatever you're filming, and you can adjust the temperature and the style of the lighting with the knob on the side. These two buttons here can be used to program like waypoints, if you will. So if I wanted to put this down on the ground as a tripod, I could actually program it to pan from one spot to another automatically. It can do more than I've learned how to do yet. I'm still getting the basics of it down, but I definitely will be using this more as I use my cell phone to record. I forgot to mention this camera, what that does on top. It's not recording, it has AI features built in, and it can recognize gestures. So not only do I have the option of using the buttons on this grip to control my camera, you can do hand gestures to tell the camera when to start recording. You can tell it to pan left or right or to zoom in, all remotely without needing a physical remote. You're just using your hand gestures, which I think is a really interesting feature. Probably my favorite thing out of this is the trigger on the front. Again, it has multiple uses. So if I want to record the bike over here, my phone is facing that way. But if I want to quickly turn the camera to face me when I'm speaking, a quick triple click, 1, 2, 3, and the camera spins around 180 degrees. Not only is it effective at changing the angle of the camera, but it gives it a pretty cool spin effect. And then 1, 2, 3, and right back to the bike. So I have used action cameras like GoPro, Insta360, and all of those work great. But if you want to use your cell phone for smooth, stabilized footage, check out the gimbals from Hohem. I'll put a link in the description where you can get one. Here we go. So I'm going to change this to pedal assist 1. The assist level is programmed to also be effectively the throttle level. So when I'm in pedal assist 1, it's going to get me up to, looks like 11 miles an hour or so on flat ground. And if I twist the throttle, it's going to keep it at that rate as well. If I want more power, I got to turn that up to 2, and so on all the way up to 5. So if I crank this up to 2, oh, I bumped it up to 3. I guess we're going even faster. It's getting me up to 21 miles an hour. Not bad. Might as well go for it and just go pedal assist 5 from here on out. 24, 25, 27. So easily doing 28 miles an hour. Like I said, there's no expectation of greater speed with this, because if you want to increase RPM, you usually have to increase voltage, but definitely you're going to have more torque. So let's see how it takes off from a stop. This wide angle is going to be the GoPro, and this angle is from my phone mounted to the gimbal. All right, so full stop, I've got it turned up to 5, and I'm just going to give it full throttle. My battery's at 56 volts, so not 100% charge, but pretty close. This is a 52 volts, so it'd be at 58 volts. We're 2 volts shy of full, but pretty close. And let's see how it takes off. Whoa! I was a little jerky with that. I wasn't smooth with the throttle, and it hesitated for a second, and then next thing you know, I felt like the front wheel might have lifted off. Let's see, was that actually the case? Yeah, it did. I am pretty sure the stock bike doesn't lift the front wheel off the ground. So let's do that again. Watch the front wheel closely. See what happens when I get on the throttle from a stop. Yeah! Yep, that'll do it. All right, well, I wasn't expecting that, but I think we can all agree that's more torque than what the bike came with. So this is available at area13ebikes.com, and it is designed specifically for the Juiced Scrambler. Now I know some of the wiring stuff is similar on some of the other Juiced bikes that were made around the same time, like the Rip Current. I don't know if it'll be plug and play or it'll even work on a bike like that. So I'm just putting that out there because I know that's a question that we've been asked already. If someone wants to test it on one of those and see, of course, let us know. Now I wish I could tell you exactly how many watts are coming out of that rear wheel, exactly how much torque it's producing, but I don't know the answer to that yet. I mentioned in my last video that I recently bought a motorcycle dyno. It's old, it's used, it has some problems, but I am gonna start putting e-bikes on a dyno to actually get real numbers from the rear wheel. We're gonna know exactly how much horsepower, exactly how many watts, hopefully how much torque. There's some technical issues we gotta work through to make that work correctly. So if you wanna see those kinds of things, make sure to hit the subscribe button, because I think that it's gonna be extremely enlightening.